In today's video, we're going to be taking another look here at the modeled guidance, just diving into what this European and the GFS models are calling for at this point. As you can see here, we do have a little bit of this ascending jet stream that we've been talking about for a few days now, and we can see some storm systems along it, one being here in the northeast corner of the United States, and 992 here above the Great Lakes region here. We can also see some storminess along the northern part of this jet stream in the west as well, and that is where a lot of our activity lies this Sunday. And we can see that there has been some severe weather and thunderstorm activity through our kind of late morning into noontime hours here for North Carolina through South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, as well as the Florida Panhandle, all the way through Louisiana and Texas. We've seen some more thunderstorm and severe weather activity taking place. By time we are reaching Monday here, which is going to be tomorrow from the time I'm making this video, but also March 27th, we can see that there is this activity stretching up the east coast here, and the jet stream is at this point doing something like this. We can see there is some snowfall also along your Rockies here as well. That is where a lot of our activity is happening at this point. As we keep going for Tuesday, this is going to be the 28th of March here. We can see a larger, more major storm system moving onshore to the west at this point, kind of in between California and Oregon there, taking up a majority of Oregon and the northern half of California there at that point. As we continue this on overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, this storm is going to basically offshore of California dive south here is what we're seeing for the most part. And your jet stream is following it. So we have this massive ridge, and then so a massive ridge right about there. A lot of cold air diving southward there in the west. Then there's this kind of soft, more minor cold air mass over the east, and it's kind of split around this larger ridge in the middle. That is the pattern that we're seeing at that point. Again, that's Wednesday into Thursday. By Thursday afternoon, that more major trough has basically moved into a majority of the west here. We have this ridge still over the central United States and a little bit of a trough taking place there in the east. So again, this more minor cold air moving into the east. We have a low setting up here for eastern Colorado. So we see a lot of rising warm air, especially to the east of that low. To the west of the low, we do have this kind of cold front taking over for the most part, and that is our flow. So we have this, again, major trough still taking place out west. Some snowfall around for sure. By Friday, the 31st here, we're again dealing with this very large ridge now in a majority of the eastern United States by this point. So we're seeing this kind of rising motion. We have that cold front underneath your low there, warm front kind of causing all of this there. And then the west, we're still just cold, but kind of quieter and cold out there. That is the look at this point for those areas out west. And as we cross over into April, this will be Saturday, April 1st, what we're going to see by this point is, first off, another storm system moving onshore. So this will be storm number 2 in our upcoming pattern. We'll keep that in mind. Storm number 1 now, a low in northern Pennsylvania, southern New York, bringing some snowfall on the very northern extent of this low here for states like Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan there, and then also northern New York, northern Vermont and New Hampshire there, and then even northern Maine. And we can see that this does feature a warm front there, cold front still stretching down, and that is our look for that storm number 1 at this point. By the time we reach the second, that will have moved offshore. That's going to be Sunday. And we have, again, this kind of split look, more of that major cold air heading into the east after that low is all said and done. So we can see a pretty big cool down there for the 2nd of April. Again, that's going to be the Sunday that week. And then we can see that there is going to be a little bit more of a more minor trough there with the ridge once again over the central plains, kind of splitting everything up. Now, as we head into the 3rd here, this is going to be Monday. We can tell that there's another very strong low taking place across the middle portion of the nation. This is beginning to show some characteristics of a warm front there and a cold front underneath as well. And our jet stream is basically doing this at this point. So the warm front is pushing that jet stream northward in the east, and it's allowing for some of this cold air to move in underneath and behind this low at this point, and then we see this rising warm air out ahead of that low. This is what causes potential severe weather, so don't be surprised if we see another event taking place there for early April across your more south central and southeastern states, especially as we get things going here. We can tell that by Tuesday the 4th here, we have this 999 low pressure center, very long extending cold front there, and then this warm front here. So very warm air surging up the east, cold air diving in behind. This is what causes severe weather to take place. Your jet stream is from west to east, just totally ascending here, as you can see, all the way until it reaches the east, which is kind of the pinnacle here of that warmer air mass, or the ridge as we call it, that is now located over the east by that point. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that total precipitation on this model run. We can see we're going to have plenty of those storms moving onshore to the west, which causes these higher amounts. We've seen that all winter long, all spring long so far. So this is kind of something I've had to say repetitively every single day. And I mean, it in general has not changed that much. We see a lot of these lows moving up through these areas on this particular model run. And then we see basically the cold fronts extending down. So this looks very similar to what we've dealt with if you've been staying tuned with the videos. And this just leads towards a lot of springtime activity for these areas in general, the eastern half of the nation. Pretty much everybody's going to get plenty of precipitation over the next 10 days. As far as total snowfall, there's actually pretty much the same amount we've seen for most 10-day periods this winter and spring out west, especially the mountainous areas, Cascades, down to the Sierra Nevadas, and the Rockies here. We see plenty, and by plenty I mean multiple feet of snowfall. We can tell that when we have this low set up over on the eastern end of things, we will actually get pretty decent accumulations, potentially 6 to 10 inches or more here for areas across Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, areas in Michigan, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. All of these areas could see plowable snowfall, so we're going to have to watch for that over the coming pattern, of course, because that is obviously something that would be extremely impactful. Now, as we take a look here at our GFS model, or American model as we call it, we're going to be looking for differences, and we see this strong ridging by the weekend. A very strong low here also on this model, just as we saw in the European model. This certainly poses our next risk of severe weather across the central plains there into kind of your Mississippi River area of the United States. We're going to be watching for this very, very closely, because this does bring potential major impacts with it, of course. Even as we approach into the beginning of April, we could see some extensions of thunderstorm and severe weather here with this low as well. So definitely multiple impacts to go over. And then again, just like that European model, we get a very, very strong low that causes this cold front, warm front dynamic. Again, very strong rising air in the east, and we have that sinking air out west. That is what we're dealing with at this point on the GFS, and also, as we saw earlier, the European model as well. Let's keep diving forward, just keep going with this. We see that cold front does reach the eastern United States by April 7th. We don't really get as much cold air here on this model run, actually. And generally, this looks very warm for the east until we reach into almost mid-April, which is when the average temperatures have risen so much that it's almost definitely going to be very warm. It's certainly very interesting to see here. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, as we do upload every single day. So we will just walk you through this pattern as we just continue to kind of see further into it and get more accurate information every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video also, as it does help us out so much. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and I will see you guys in the next video.